What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza here, with a brand new video for all you rascals and rapscallions out there. It is officially the month of October, which means watching all of the scary movies for everyone is in full effect. I love seeing everybody watching all types of good flicks, and I figured I'd get into it. The same thing. And the first movie I chose to watch in the month of October, that is Tony Maylam's The Burning from 1981. Now, this is an early slasher, right when the craze first began, with, I believe, Halloween being released in 1979, Friday the 13th being released in 1980, and now this, The Burning, in 1981. Special effects by Tom Savini, where he famously didn't want to go back to the Friday the 13th franchise because he thought Jason was already killed off, so what is there more to do? So, we get The Burning. Anyways, to get right into it, this movie starts off with a bunch of kids in the past at a campground, and they got a problem with like the groundskeeper or whatnot. So they're going to play a prank on him, and they like light this like skull filled with like candles and worms in the eyes, like on his dresser while he's sleeping, and they bang on the window to wake him up, and he knocks it over, the skull that has like the candles in it, and it lights him completely on fire head to toe. This gatekeeper at the campground, I believe his name was Cropsey. But yeah, he's lit completely on fire and falls out of the front door of his cabin and whatnot. And yeah, this is how the movie starts out, just hot and heavy, literally. But we shoot to 5 years later where Cropsey's actually in the hospital recovering. It's taken him this long to recover from these burns. It was that bad. So he finally leaves the hospital. He's covered head to toe in bandages, big jacket, big hat to hide his face and whatnot. So we get a lot of first personness from Cropsey. So it shows him first person walking down the street, and he sees a prostitute, and the prostitute actually brings him into her place, and you know she's trying to get to action and whatnot, get paid and all that. But Cropsey's just been burned. His whole body's deformed. He's crazy. He's a crazy man. He's lost his mind. And he ends up killing this prostitute in there and grabbing up a pair of like these shears right here or whatnot. And this becomes his weapon for the rest of the movie. So right after this, he's out of there, and we cut to where most of this movie takes place at the new campgrounds, where it just starts out showing some of the kids and everything. Good camera work in this movie from the start. Good characters too. That's why I like a lot of these like slashers that are set like in campgrounds, because a lot of it feels like just like a comedy about like summer camp, and the next thing you know, it adds like all the horror and craziness into it. So it's like I like movies that have a good blend of the two. But anyways, it starts out with us getting introduced to some of these characters by like this girl's taking a shower, and you think the killer is coming up to get her, and it ends up just being this kid Alfred, who is at the camp, a camper, and he's like a really big nerd and everything. Nobody really likes him or whatnot. So he takes off, and the counselors, Michelle and Todd, stop him, and they're yelling at him. Todd has a talk with him. What the hell's wrong with you? And Alfred says he's just trying to scare her. And Todd explains to her, well, that's kind of a weird thing to do, to creep up on a girl in the shower. And then Alfred ends up telling him how much of a hard time he's having at camp. He has no friends. He's being bullied. He doesn't want to be there. So Todd kind of is cool to him and says, listen, I'll work with you here. Just, you got to stay out of trouble, and we'll make things work here at camp. And also warns him, you better watch out for that girl in the shower, her boyfriend, Glazer, which is one of the funniest characters in this movie. He says, you better watch out because, what's he going to think? He's going to try to kick your ass. Which, like, the very next scene, he tries to. And this character, Glazer, is something else, man. Like, I can't figure out what accent he has. Is it like New York or something? He's got this slick back hair. He looks almost like a blonde-haired greaser. He's just like, what a like classic 80s like bully. And he's telling Alfred, if I catch you doing this shit again, I'm gonna kill you and all this. And the counselor Todd splits it up and warns the bully, you better leave him alone, blah, blah, blah. Movie keeps going. We got a lot of just stuff to do with like the campers, them swimming out on the docks and just stuff like a summer camp movie. And this is where we learn more about some of the characters. One of them actually being, I believe, what's his name? Jason Alexander, who played George on Seinfeld. I'm not a big Seinfeld fan necessarily, but I believe this is his first movie he ever did, where he plays one of the kids that's friends with Alfred. And I gotta tell you, he is one of the highlights of this movie. He's got to be hilarious on Seinfeld. Like I said, I never watched it, but this kid has me rolling the whole time. He really carries a lot of the movie and keeps it fun in a lot of ways. You know, a good character in this film. But anyways, we move on, and it's announced in like the cafe that some of the older campers are about to head out on this canoe trip that they do every year, and like they go camp on an island or whatnot. And then this is a scene where one of the kids goes back to his cabin to grab something or whatnot, and this is where they really start selling like the first person in this, because like they have a lot of the killer Crosby walking up in first person, and it really works good. It really builds the tension with the music and everything. It's one of the highlights of the movie. But I have to say, it does remind me a lot of like the original Halloween when they were doing the first person, especially in the opening scene. And the plot itself is very similar to Friday the 13th in a way, but which makes sense because, like I said, 1981 and the two prior came out 79, 80. But anyways, this movie in the long run still stands out on its own. It's good. But I just wanted to point that out with the first person. That's kind of a highlight of this movie. But anyways, they make it into the canoes, and they have a pretty fun scene. They have some fun, like, campy music playing. All the kids are joking around. They make it to the campground. They have a bonfire at night. And this is where Todd starts telling, like an urban legend story about Crosby. And all the kids are scared. And it's like the first time they have acknowledged this character or the happening of it. So yeah, all the kids get spooked after this older counselor, I believe Eddie, jumps up and scares them. And then as the movie goes right after that, this kid Eddie tries to go skinny dipping with this girl he likes. She makes it clear she's uncomfortable. He keeps pressing and pressing. He tells her to fuck off, and she takes off, and all her clothes are scattered through the woods. So as she's finding her clothes, we get a really good kill here, where Crosby comes up with these shears and just right through the throat, I believe, or yeah, cuts her throat right in slow motion. Just some really gruesome shit. Amazing practical effects by Tom Savini as always. But yeah, then we come to the next morning where the counselors approach this kid Eddie, and they say, where the hell's this girl at? She's missing. We figured she was with you. He tells them what happened. I come on too strong. She took off. I figured she went back with you guys. And then this is where they find out that all the canoes have been like stolen or gone or something. So they're trying to figure out what to do. Todd comes up with a plan to build a raft, which leads to something pretty cool. They build this raft. They send about 4 to 6 of these kids on the raft to go back to camp and try to get the canoes or get a little bit of help. And then one of the girls spots one of their canoes floating in the water. So they decide to go up to it in a very long and drawn out scene as they approach this canoe, which is a good thing. But this leads to one of the most famous scenes in this whole movie. If you've never seen this, I would imagine maybe you've heard about this scene. You can look it up on YouTube, the burning the raft scene, or you can just buy the whole movie and check it out. But anyways, this is some of the best practical effects you'll ever see in a horror movie. Tom Savini, I can't say enough. This is like the third time I've mentioned him, but this is such a gory scene. They get up to this canoe. Crosby lifts up his head and lifts up the shears. He stabs one kid through the throat. He cuts off another kid's fingers. Just slices this girl in the head, and it is so gory and gross. Oh man, beats CGI any day. If you're a sick bastard, you would love this scene just like I did. Crazy shit. So yeah, anyways, we go back to the camp, and they're kind of just waiting for these kids to get back on the raft. And in the meantime, Glazer has made it out into the woods with his girlfriend, and they start getting it on. And this is one of the funniest scenes because he lasts for like 5 seconds, and she just gives this look like, what? And his reaction, he just goes, shit. So he apologizes to her. She says maybe we can just stay out here for the night because they're away from the other campers, obviously. So he runs back to grab some matches so they can make a fire. And in the meantime, Alfred sees it and follows after. And while Glazer's on his way back with Alfred in tail, the girl gets killed by Cropsey. And as Glazer comes back, he finds her, and the killer kills him too, real slow. He takes the shears right through the throat, lifts him off the ground, puts him into the tree. And this is a weird part where this Alfred kid is kind of watching and smiling like he's enjoying it until he realizes, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. Takes off running. He tells Todd. Todd wakes up like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's the middle of the night. So they go to check it out. Todd goes with him. Cropsey shows up again, knocks Todd out, chases after Alfred. A very long chase scene is on. And in the meantime, the sun has come up, and the other counselor, Michelle, sees the raft floating up with the remaining kids still on land. She swims out to check it out, and then a dead body falls off, and she's freaking out. The kids are freaking out. They eventually, recover and get on this raft and start to go back to camp to, try to get the police, which they end up doing. They get a hold of one of the other counselors, call the cops, who end up coming in on helicopter, and Michelle and this other counselor ride like a fisherman boat back to try to save Alfred and Todd. So meanwhile, while all this is happening, the chase is on. The kid Alfred gets chased into this old steel mine or something where Cropsey pins him up against the wall, has the shears stuck into his arms and all this stuff. And this is when Todd comes in with an axe. So he's fighting this guy, Cropsey, who now has a flamethrower, and they're going face to face with an axe and a flamethrower. And this is like just an example why 80s horror is so amazing. But yeah, this is so great. And sorry, I lost train of thought. Alfred grabs the shears. He gets free, and he stabs Cropsey, takes him down, and they think it's over. But he gets back up, and this is when Todd hits Cropsey right in the head with an axe, straight through the head, and they show the whole thing. And it is gnarly. And I must also mention, I forgot to say, they reveal what he looks like with all the burns just prior to this. And I must say, this is one of the flaws of the movie. I was kind of disappointed with how he looked. It was all right. It could have been better, I feel. But anyways, he gets hit with this axe. And this is when Todd takes the flamethrower and lights him on fire. And this is when he has a flashback that all comes full circle, that he was one of the kids who was involved in this prank way back in the day. So Todd very irresponsibly says, let's just get out of here, Alfred, leaving the killer in flames, about to burn down this steel mill or stone mill or whatever, and burn down all the woods. Now, I'm sure you wouldn't be thinking about that right after all this violence. I'm just being an asshole. But yeah, and this is pretty much where the movie ends. It ends with them getting to safety with the police. And it cuts to a little campfire scene with a different camp counselor telling the story of this killer, almost implying it could continue. But this is the lone movie. There's no sequels or anything. This is a standalone film. But yeah, I didn't mean to talk my ass off so quick there. I just didn't want this video to drag for 20 minutes, and I really want to talk about it. But this is a really good movie. I would suggest this to anyone. I meant to do this a little earlier, more around the summertime, but I'm just now getting around to it. Yeah, this is a Scream Factory release. Awesome artwork on the cover, loaded with special features, and this also has both DVD and Blu-ray. So if you got just one or the other, it's a good deal. You have both. Could sell one to your friend, maybe. I don't know. Get your hustle on. But yeah, anyways, I really enjoyed this film. It felt very organic in the sense of like it just felt like a summer camp movie, and then it had a lot of this horror elements that would just come right into it with no warning. So it made it suspenseful in that aspect. It had, good music, good camera work. Yeah, the characters were pretty funny. They were pretty good. There wasn't one I didn't really care for. Yeah, I mean, it had a lot of realism to it, but it was also really fun, really funny. Like I said, the guy from Seinfeld, when he was a kid and played in this, he absolutely stole the show with his charisma, and you could probably tell back then he would become a big star. But anyways, like I said, I don't do any like star ratings or number ratings on these. I'll just tell you if you should watch it or not. I think you really should if you haven't, and if you have seen this movie before, help me convince those who haven't in the comments by telling them how good it is. Tell me what your favorite part in this movie is, and tell me what you're watching right now in this month of October. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate all the support. Blood, guts, gore. I'll check you guys next time.